I asked Kyle Shanahan a question yesterday, and it kind of went viral. A lot of people thought it was not a question worth asking. Some people appreciated it. Kyle Shanahan was not one of them. I'll tell you that. But he answered the question. Here's what it was. I said, Kyle, it was on a conference call. Kyle, will you consider making a change at quarterback during the bye week? And if not, why? Because I already knew he was going to say no, but I felt it was a fair question considering everyone's already firing Steve Wilks. What about the guy who's committed 6 turnovers in the last 3 games? Kyle said, a change at what?
Yeah,
couldn't believe it. I said, quarterback. And he's long pause and he goes, no. And so I said, why? Because that was part of the original question. And another long pause. He goes, because you don't just bench a guy for no reason. End of story. What do you think of that exchange?
Well, I want to talk about it as a former journalist. There were 2 key questions that had to be asked yesterday. One about your defensive coordinator, the other about your quarterback. Quarterback's lost 3 games in a row. He's given it up 6 times in the last 3 games and is responsible for losing 2 of the last 3. I'm not saying solely responsible, but heavily responsible. A responsible journalist asks pertinent questions, not like, how's his hamstring? Is his hamstring better? No, you're not there to be a stenographer. You're there as a journalist to be in charge. At those weekly press conferences, Kyle is not in charge. He's the subject. We're in charge. We're the director. Imagine
he's the object.
We're making he's the object. I'm sorry. Yeah. We're the subject. You got me. Gotcha. And you're right. We're the director of a movie and he's the actor and we're moving him around. He is responsible to us. We are not responsible to him. Look at White House press conferences. They ask whatever her name is or the president questions and they have to answer. That's how it works. That's journalism. Well, they had just lost 3 games in a row. If I were there, but I wasn't, but Iggy was there, God love him. His job is not to make nice to Shanahan. They're not friends. They don't go out to dinner together. He doesn't have Shanahan's phone number. His job is to ask pertinent questions. They were asking about Wilks, pertinent. The other question is, what's going on with your quarterback and do you have plans? Are you thinking about it? And God damn it, he is thinking about it, Iggy. No matter what he says to you, he's thinking about it.
Better be.
You made him uncomfortable. You didn't mean to make him uncomfortable, but you asked him a pertinent question. He should be uncomfortable. He's lost 3 games in a row. His 2 mediocre teams, and his team is in free fall. He should not walk out of that room thinking, boy, that was easy. No, that here was someone who asked me a pertinent question. It made me uncomfortable. What are my answers? So I think as a journalist, you did the right thing. If you were there to be friends with Shanahan or to make him feel good about losing 3 in a row, then you failed. But as a journalist, I give you an A+.
Well, thank you. And the part that surprised me is that Kyle wasn't prepared for it. How comfortable are you with us that you didn't think anyone there was going to ask about Brock Purdy? Really? Really? That's amazing.
Well, that's not a reflection on him. That's a reflection on the media.
It is.
Why does he feel that comfortable? When Ira Miller and I were doing it,
yeah,
Iggy, when Ira Miller and I were doing it, Bill Walsh didn't feel comfortable. Seifert, these were winners. They when we asked a question, they paid attention. Mariucci never felt comfortable with me. When I see him, he'll look away. He still doesn't like me. Harbaugh liked it because he likes competition. He would be let down if I didn't put him on the spot. And he had a twinkle in his eye when I would ask him a question like you asked. He would endorse your question.
He's a tough guy. He's a tough guy.
Tough guy. Yeah.
He's a tough guy.
And Kyle apparently isn't.
I mean, he can be very generous with his answers when he's winning. But 3-game losing streak, bye week, I didn't even say, I wasn't like, hey, Kyle, when are you going to bench your quarterback? When are you going to smarten up and bench your quarterback? I just said, are you going to consider making Not even are you going to make it? Are you going to consider making a change at the bye week? And I know you're going to say no. So just explain why you're not going to even consider benching a quarterback who's lost 3 straight, committed 6 turnovers in those games, and really has very little track record of success. Why are you not even considering benching him? And he said, well, because there's no reason to.
I mean, no reason.
Okay.
I'll tell you another reason. There are 6 reasons that we've just mentioned, but in addition, he's shown no ability to bring a team back in the fourth quarter.
None. His quarterback rating in the fourth quarter is 82, while he's off the charts in the other 3 quarters. What does that mean? That's a bad sign.
You need a quarterback who can. Joe Montana, he could have a crummy game, and then but he won. He came back in the fourth quarter. This kid isn't Joe Montana. In the fourth quarter, he gives it up.
Right. If it's close. If it's close, he gives it up.
These are things the coach needs to consider. And the fact that he never even thought, he was so surprised by your question, he didn't hear it. It didn't make sense to him.
And the way I interpret it is, it's not that he hasn't considered benching Brock Purdy. It's that he wasn't prepared for the question at that moment.
I would agree.
And considered it.
Of course he's considered it.
Yes. You kidding? And Dad, if Bill Walsh were the coach of this team and they just lost 3 games in a row and he had a 23-year-old quarterback who's going down the tank, what would happen? Would he call you?
Yeah. Let's say I was retired, right? And Bill Walsh, he would call me. He'd say, Lowell, I got a problem here. I mean, he's done things like that. I got a problem. I got this kid. He can't win. He can't. He gives it up in the fourth quarter. He can't come back. But I got this backup. I don't believe in him either. Lowell, I got a real problem. And then he feels sorry for himself and all that. And that's where Kyle is. He's got a backup he doesn't believe in, but he's got a backup he endorsed and got rid of the other kid for this backup. So he's put himself in checkmate, Iggy. If Brock Purdy doesn't work out, he's put himself in checkmate.
He really has. He really has. And I think that's why he didn't want to answer the question. He wants to deflect from the quarterback issue as much as possible. But that's his. You called Brock Purdy the real deal. You called Sam Darnold the next Steve Young. You got to make this work. You love both of these quarterbacks, man. Make it work. Yeah. And if Brock isn't working, then why don't you want to see the other one who's so great?
I'm with you.
Arturo says, hey, I'm Steve Wilkes, 1 thumb in my mouth, other thumb. Wow. Okay. I'm not saying that. Ezio Sanchez says, start 1, bench 1, and cut 1 of the following: Purdy, Timurtay, and Sean Hill. I'll say start Tim, bench Sean, and do I need to say the rest? Start 1, bench 1, and cut 1. I'll take Purdy over.
I'll take Purdy over those guys.
Timurtay was awful, but that was a long time ago. Jimmy Kwan says accountability is a key part of leadership, holding others accountable as well as yourself. I think Schwartz would hold Kyle accountable. Kyle doesn't hold himself publicly. No Super Bowl win until he does. Wow.
Yeah, I'm not betting on this guy to win a Super Bowl this year.
No.
He's never. I've never. We've said it before, but please let me say it again. I've never seen a coach so highly regarded who hasn't won a Super Bowl. You'd think this guy was Bill Belichick.
Right.
He never won a Super Bowl.
Never. He's a genius, Dad. He's way ahead of the game. Jimmy Kwan, good call. Fish and Chips says more pertinent questions, maybe his game plan.
I love this Fish and Chips. Is he coming? Fish and Chips, is he from Great Britain?
I believe so, with the pound.
Okay.
Bala Vision says Kyle's best friend Chris Sims threw a subliminal shot at you on Twitter about that question. Tell him, put an ad on it next time. LOL, bring the heat. I like Chris Sims, and he's fair. You know, he's got a pass to take shots at me. He once gave me like a half hour on the phone, one-on-one, about left-handed quarterbacks like 8 years ago. So I'm always grateful to Chris, and I like Chris. So go ahead. Maybe if you thought it's a bad question, that's what sports is all about. Nolo U says Kyle strikes me as a nagging wife for his quarterbacks.
Ooh. I don't know about nagging wives.
I don't know about that.
I never had one.
I don't see it like that. I see it as he doesn't want to be in a relationship with a quarterback. Like he's always looking for a way out. Always.
I see him as a dominating remote father.
Interesting. It's not a 50-50 partnership. It's a father-son thing.
And remote.
Yeah.
One of those never hugs, never tells you you're good, never tells
praises.
you he loves you. Yeah.
Never praises. Yeah. Bass Spokane Niner fan says, would Kyle have to answer if you gave Brock stats before asking if he was going to consider it? Kyle wouldn't have to do anything.
You don't have that much time.
Fish and Chip says fourth quarter. Don't forget Kyle's wobble under duress.
He's a wobbler.
Kyle wobble.
In addition to being a doodler, he's a wobbler.
He's got both tendencies. Nolo U says Harbaugh would invite a quarterback controversy.
Yeah, Harbaugh is like me. He likes controversy. He's like
Harbaugh's nuts.
He has that kind of personality.
That. Yeah. Jim, if you're watching, I miss you, man.